Thank you for tuning in to the CWBN Radio TV Network. This is the show that empowers and inspires people to live their best life. We enjoy sharing tips and resources for visionaries. Tune in and enjoy music from gospel artists across the globe. Now, here's your business coach, motivator, and founder of Christian Women's Business Network, Dr. Victoria Sheffield.
Hi, everyone. I hope you all are doing well. This is Dr. Victoria Sheffield, host of the CWBN Radio Television Network. This is the show that empowers and inspires visionaries to live their best life. And as always, I am super excited about doing another broadcast. But before we go any further, I want to acknowledge the sponsor of this show. It's brought to all by Constant Contact, a fast, simple way to automate your email marketing campaigns. To start your free trial, please contact me for more details. Now that I have that out of the way, I have an amazing guest with me today. She is an amazing woman of God with an amazing mission. She is a certified life coach, ordained minister, professional speaker, and author. She's also a Violet Light Reiki master and podcast host. Without any delays, I want to welcome you to the broadcast. Minister Kim, are you here?
I am here. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. It is a blessing to be here and to be with you to talk a little bit about what it is that I do in my ministry. So thank you so much for the opportunity and the platform to be able to share today. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to be here. Now, this is the part, Minister Kim, where I want you to just share with those that are listening a little bit about you, anything you want people to know about you, and also definitely talk to us about the ministry that God has given you.
Absolutely. It'll be my pleasure. I always tell people I am a Georgia peach with an apple core because I am originally from Queens, New York, and both of my grandmothers actually were born in the state of Georgia, and I've been here now in Atlanta, in the metro Atlanta area, for 25 years, and so I moved here when I was 26, so that's where I get that whole Georgia peach apple core from, because I'm a New Yorker through and through, but I've been here long enough to be a Georgia peach as well. So, that's just where I'm from. So shouts out to my Queens, New York people, and those who are here in the Metro Atlanta area who are just as much of my family and friends as my folks back home. I moved down here and back in 1996, and I came down with my ex-husband, my now ex-husband, and my two young daughters in tow, and things were pretty much going, according to plan. I came down here. About 13 months after I moved down here, I purchased my home, and I was working for the one of the local school systems. And things were pretty much going, quote unquote, according to plan. I had the cats, I had the house, I had the career, I had a good church home that I found right up the street from my house, and so things were going well. And then and it's coming up in 2 days, on October 11th of 2009. I had a huge shift to take place in my life, and that was the passing of my youngest daughter. She had a brain aneurysm, and she passed in her sleep, and she was almost 17 years old. Her birthday is December 21st. So I lost my youngest daughter. And at that time, my oldest daughter had just graduated from college and was going up to New York to pursue some of her career goals. She got her degree in in gaming and design and development of video games, and was going up to New York. And at the time, I was having some struggles in my marriage, and so I was, on the brink of divorce. And so all of these things were transpiring right around the same time. And so, losing my daughter and then empty nesting with my oldest daughter, moving back up to New York, and then divorcing my husband, I found myself in a space that I'd never been in before. I was living by myself for the first time ever. I had always, when I left my home, I had my youngest daughter I keep saying my youngest daughter, I apologize, my oldest daughter when I was 18, and had my youngest daughter when I was 22. So I had my children when I was relatively young. And so, it was a transition for me. I moved from my home into another, into my apartments and things as I continued to develop. And, so I had never been in a space where I lived by myself. So I lost my daughter in October. My oldest daughter moved to New York in December, and my divorce was finalized, and my ex-husband moved out in January of that year, of that following year. And this was all on the brink of my 40th birthday, because I turned 40 that year after. I had just finished my master's program that same month of my birthday month. I finished my master's program, and now I was in a space where, like I said, I had never been before. And so I had to ask myself, what do I do now? What do I do in this space now? Because I've always been defined by the roles that I played in other people's lives. I was always somebody's mom. I was always, that worker bee at work who always excelled and tried to do her best. And then, I was a wife, and, I was all of these things to all these people, and now I was here by myself trying to figure out who I was to me. And so it really put me in a bit of a quandary. And what's interesting is, as I was grieving the loss of my daughter, I want to always say that I was never angry at God for taking my daughter. Never. That was never a thought, because that's not how I was raised. I was always raised to believe that God does not make mistakes, and things happen for a reason. And so it was for me to determine what the reason behind why, it was her set time to go, and that, I had to also be mindful that my oldest daughter lost her sibling, and now she had no sibling, and I could not fold up and pass away with my daughter. I needed to be here for my daughter, who was still very much alive. And that was important. I had to figure out what my next steps were going to be, because, like I said, they were always defined by everyone else. And one thing that I remember in that whole process is going to Walmart and picking up almost $300 worth of groceries before I got to the register, and remembered that it was just me. Then I remember just walking out of I remember walking out of the store, Dr. Sheffield, because I didn't even know what in the cart I wanted, because I was so used to getting everything for everybody else that I didn't remember what I wanted for myself. And so I just walked out of the store. I didn't know what to do. And I was everybody's go-to person. I have a a group of friends. We are still friends. We've been friends since we were 16 years old, and we talk all the time. But I was the go-to person. I was the guinea pig. If there was anything to try, if there was anything to do, I was that girl. And now here it was. I had lost my youngest daughter, and people didn't know what to say. They were like, well, Kim, you're the person that we would come to ask what we should say to our dear friend who lost their child. And so it was difficult. And I had to, I had to just say, well, you know what, just listen, just be there. Just be there. And I really got to see who my friends were. I really got to see, some of the toxicities that existed in my life. And it was a big paradigm shift for me to figure out, what is my purpose and what is it that I need to do to move past this season that I'm in. I didn't want to fold up. I didn't want to just fold up, and so I needed to figure out, what it was that I needed to do. And I say all that to say that's how the ministries began. I looked into becoming a life coach because people were just, I had a dear friend say, you would make a wonderful life coach. With all of the things that you experience, your strength and your wisdom and the things that you share with others in spite of the tragedies that took place in your own life. What can you do? Because actually that divorce that I went through was actually my third. I had been married two times prior to that. And so there were a lot of things going on in the background, but I guess when you busy yourself with everyone else, you don't face those things. You kind of push them to the side and you put on that happy face and you just, you persevere. And I had to learn that I needed to face some of those things and to be able to grieve and to be able to really say, okay, these are the things that are happening around me and what do I need to do, so that I can, be in a space or create a new space of peace for myself. And so, I went, my friend suggested life coaching. I didn't know anything about coaching. I was like, I don't know anything about sports. I didn't know there was such thing as a life coach. And so, I went and I educated myself. I, went online, looked up. I had heard of Ayanna Van Zandt because she had that little book. I can't even remember the name of it now, but it had a little purple cover on it. And I just knew her to be a person, I was like, she's a little aggressive. I'm not that kind of coach. I was like, so I don't know if that's me. So I really had to go and dig to find out what a life coach was. And when I read and understood what a coach was, I said, oh, yeah, I've been doing this my whole life. And so, but I said, there are probably some things that I need to know. And so I began to look into that and to becoming certified. And I began to journal and write about my experiences, and that's where my authorship came in. And I self-published a couple of books. And, I did a 3-part series. I have one book that's called, the 3-part series had to do with sideline coaching services. I developed a coaching service called Sidelines because I felt like, I'm there helping people in this game of life. And so I called it Sideline Coaching Services and decided to develop books based on that. So it's 30 days of inspiration, 30 days of transition, and 30 days of transformation. And began to write those just to help people to first to be inspired to get to a space of being able to transition, because until you get to that space where you're comfortable and you're confident and being inspired or being led to do something different, then you can start that process of transformation, of transition, where you're going through those steps. You've overcome the fear, and now you're looking and seeking to go beyond that point of frustration or of angst, and then you're moving on to that to transforming, where you've taken those things that were part of your transition, and now those things are manifesting, and you're getting to that place of transition. So that's where the authorship came in with regards to my ministry. And then I was led into the ministry. You know, I had so many questions. You know, I was a person who, you know, went to church because my Nana went to church, and my Nana's birthday was the day before mine, and she was just my everything. So wherever my Nana went, Kim was going with her. And so she went to church. I didn't start going to church until I was 9 years old, but I went because she went. And I went, my grandmother said, Lord, and she was like, it's always nice to be nice, and that was it. My grandmother didn't learn how to read until she was in her 80s, and she passed away 6 years ago at the age of 90. And, you know, I had gotten to a point where I knew of religion, and like I told you, I knew that God didn't make mistakes, and I knew that I was supposed to love the Lord with all my heart. But, you know, I didn't understand why I believed what I believed. And that was important. It's important to, why do I believe the things that I believe? Why am I, you know, Baptist? Why was I, you know, what was my why? I needed to question myself, because I needed to be able to understand why I believe what I believe. And so I began that journey and became a minister 3 years ago. So it will be 3 years February. It will be 3 years that I've been in the ministry. And, you know, that's where those, you know, things they came up because there was something that needed to change in me. And every manifestation of those changes that took place in my life became my why, became my reason, because I wanted to be able to help others and to be able to encourage and inspire others, again, to transition so that they too can transform. And then, of course, more recently with my podcast, the How Now podcast, you know, that was birthed out of people asking me questions about, you know, Kim, how am I supposed to navigate in this space? What am I supposed to do? This pandemic affected everyone, and that it did. And what happened with me is that, you know, it wasn't what now. We know what happened. A pandemic happened, and it touched every single person from every part of this globe. And everybody was going to react to it in a different way. And so it was important for me to let people know, to empathize. You know, you need to, you know, you can't discount how someone feels about what happened. We all know that this pandemic took place. We all know that it has affected lives and taken lives and changed lives in so many different ways. And we can't discount how anyone feels. There are still some people who are very much fearful. There are still some people that are going through that transitional phase or that information phase where they're still trying to gather information. They're going to the CDC. They're going to the World Health Organization. They're going to places and trying to gather information so that they can make, you know, educated decisions about the things that they need to do next. And then you have those people who are, you know, in there reaching back and helping others to get through, you know, those people who are making the masks, those people who are starting businesses that were going to help people to be able to navigate in this space. And so for me, it wasn't the what now, it was the how now. And that's how I came up with the name of my podcast, because I want to be able to talk about how we live in the now. What are some of the things that we're doing to navigate in this space? What are some things that we're doing different? You know, and that became the premise behind the show. So a lot of the ministries were birthed out of situations that happened, and how I chose not to live in a vacuum, but to step outside of that and to be able to say, okay, how can I best navigate in this space? How can I cope? And for me, COPE is the acronym for Create Our Peaceful Existence. How do I create that peaceful existence, not just for myself, but for those around me?
Wow. I tell you, Ms. Kim, you have definitely shared a plethora of information about you. And one of the things that I must say is that you are a true inspiration. You really are.
Thank you.
Because I'm telling you, when you first said that I lost my daughter, and I said to myself, oh, my goodness, you know, I know how difficult it is losing my mother 6 months ago. I know how difficult that can be, and I love the fact that you said you never got angry with God. And something else I noticed. Now, did you say that you lost her on December the 21st?
No, December 21st was her birthday. I lost her on October 11th of 2009.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Interesting enough, December 21st is my sister's birthday. So that's the reason why that date kind of caught my attention.
Yes, and your sister is a dear friend of mine, and when she told me about that, I said that's why we connected. From the moment I met your sister, we've had a connection, because when she shared that her birthday was the 21st, I said that was the same date that my daughter was born. And so, yes, she and I will always have a connection with that date. And I will never forget her birthday for that reason. So, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
All
she
I
is a
can
dear,
say is,
she is a dear
wow.
friend. Yeah.
That is truly amazing. And I'm so glad you explained how you came about the topic of your podcast, because I wanted to know earlier, you know, I said to myself, I wonder how she came about such a unique name. So it's amazing how, you know, as we go through this walk of life and we go through certain hurts and certain pains that we deal with, how if we choose not to stay in the hurt of it, that God can actually take and birth something positive out of it. So, wow.
That's right. I mean, like you said, it's huge to be able to get that sense, and it wasn't easy. You know, I miss my daughter every day. She was my mini me, you know, and you know, but you go through the process. The thing is, you learn to feel. You know, you learn to experience your feelings and not to constrain them. You know, when if I have a moment where I have a memory, or there's a song or something that reminds me of her, I let the tears flow. You know, you experience the feeling, you allow it to happen because it's necessary for your body to cleanse from that, to release it. And then you'll find that you know, okay, I've cried, I wipe those tears, and then I go on about my day. You know, it's not to not experience the feelings, it's not to get stuck in them. And sometimes that's what we tend to do. We get stuck in where we are, and we can't move out of that space. If I'm angry, then I just be like, I'm angry for that minute, you know. I go in there, I take a couple of deep breaths, you know. I focus on, okay, is it necessary? Is it going to be something that is going to directly impact me? And if I don't, I say, okay, you know, you didn't have your little 5-minute tantrum. Now go sit down somewhere and go on about the rest of your day. Don't let this capture the rest of your day and cause you to step outside of the present, where you might miss something. There are so many things that are happening right now in our lives that because we were angry, or because we were frustrated, or because we got upset and we stayed in that vacuum, that we missed all the other beautiful things that happened that day. So it's important for us, like I said, now, living in the now is huge for me. Living in the present is huge for me, because I would have missed so many things by letting my emotions take over.
Wow. You know, I tell you, as I sit here and think, I think about the fact that God is so amazing. I usually would share a topic at the beginning of a broadcast. Sometimes I just choose to organically just do things differently, right? But I thought about moments before we started the broadcast. What would a topic be? I'm usually much more organized. Let me just say that. But today is just one of those days where things is totally different. But I thought to myself, maybe we could talk about pressing through. Seems like to me everything you are talking about lines up with pressing through, because that's basically what you're talking about. It sounds like to me that you choose when you feel those type of emotions when thinking about going through what happened with your daughter, you sort of put on your big girl pants and you keep it moving. Mm-hmm. And that's what I had to learn to do, Miss Kim, losing my mother. I've gone through the anger. I've gone through a lot of things. I still go through it. Shedded a tear probably just yesterday, but because I have those children in there, I have to take care of, and because I believe that she would have wanted me to go on and take care of her grandbabies, I say to myself, okay, I choose to be strong. And so that's one of the best things that I think that
we have to remember, we are spiritual beings living a human experience. And so, yes, what happens is, we have to be mindful of that. So that's where expressing those feelings, that human part of us, so it's going to happen. It's not like it's never going to happen. It's not like we're never going to be angry. It's not like we're never going to be sad. And again, like I said, it's not staying in that vacuum. It's not staying there and having it to where it paralyzes us. We want it to, want it to be where we can say, okay, I was angry for a minute. Okay, so now I can shake it off. But when it comes to, my daughter's passing, like I said, you have to be mindful of the people around you as well. Like I said, with my daughter, she was still here. My oldest daughter is still here. She's still here. And if I would have focused so much on the passing of my youngest daughter and not even, took into consideration that, yes, I lost my daughter, and that's huge. But my daughter lost her sister. She lost her sibling. They spent a lot of time together. They were there for each other. I traveled for work. So there were times where I was going for 4 or 5 days at a time, for several weeks at a time, and, just coming in for the weekend and going back out. And they had each other. They were each other's keeper. And so, I had to be mindful of that as well. And to be there for her and the pain that she went through. My parents only had at the time two, now they have 3. They had 3 granddaughters. That's it. And so now they've lost some. My grandparents lost their middle granddaughter. I thought about the people around me and how they were affected by this too. I couldn't be selfish and just say that it was me who lost a child, because there were people who lost a sibling, a granddaughter, a niece, a cousin. She was that to everyone else too, and I had to be mindful of that too. And not everyone can speak from that standpoint. But that's where the being mindful and being conscious and aware of others comes in. That's where the empathy comes in, that we have to be aware of those around us as well. When I was at her funeral, there were over 200 people who attended. They had it at her high school, and she was in the marching band. Band played, the boosters danced, the choir sang, and it was lovely. And I stood there and listened to people tell me stories about my daughter. They told me about how I received cards of sympathy from the courthouse because she did mock trials. And, she was very involved in different activities at her school. And so the kids put together a CD of memories about her, and they put it to music, and I have that beautiful keepsake. They had me come back a year later, because she was a rising junior at the time. They had me come back a year later. They had a new principal. They told her that she had passed away, and they had me come to the graduation, and they draped a cap and gown across the chair to honor her, and they called her name, and they gave me a big banner to hold that had her picture on it. And the kids came up and gave me hugs, and it was just so beautiful that they remembered her a year later, so much so that they thought to have her honored at their graduation. And that was so special to me, Dr. Sheffield. And, I mean, I remember going up to New York because my grandmothers were too old to travel for her funeral, so we had a memorial service for her here in Atlanta, and then we had a service for her in New York. And I remember coming back having a double ear infection, and I went to one of the little minute clinics at one of the Walgreens, one of the local Walgreens, and the lady said, "Are you Kathleen's mom?" And I was like, "I am." And she said she was one of the camp counselors for me and my partner, a year or so ago. And oh my goodness, what a lovely child. You just don't realize how many people, I didn't realize how many people she touched, the impact that she had. I had another young lady, she came up in a wheelchair, and she said, "I just met your daughter a couple of weeks ago, and I'm new to this school." And she came right up to me, and she was like, "Hey, are you new?" She asked my name, and she said, "Come and sit with us." She said she made me feel welcome. All of these memories and stories that I had, and that just let me know that she did all that she was set to do here on earth. She touched lives. She influenced and impacted lives, and I'm grateful for that. And so, like I said, it's to live on through her and to carry on her legacy. That's going to be key. And that's the type of thing that keeps me pressing through, knowing that she was here and that she served a purpose. And that she touched those lives. And so, I miss her, and she has a niece now who would have absolutely loved her. And sometimes I'm saddened by that because I know that she would have been the best auntie in the world, but we have a blanket that we made that has her picture on it. And so she knows who her auntie is. So she knows. She's like, "That's Auntie Kitty." That's right. That was her nickname, Kitty. So, that's Auntie Kitty. She knows who she is. And I don't experience it. Sometimes when she was little, she would giggle, and I'm like, that's her auntie playing with her. You know what I'm saying? There are just so many ways in which I can experience my daughter and her life and her legacy, and part of that is, like I said, through my ministry and the things that I do, but at the same time I want to say that when I started my ministries and my business, she was initially my reason for starting a lot of the ministries, but I wanted people also understand that the ministries were, for helping to encourage and to enlighten and to educate and support people, because I didn't want people to say, "Oh, that's the lady who lost her daughter." I didn't want to be that person that was only known for the passing of my daughter. And sometimes what happens is when we're telling our story, or when we're sharing our why, it tends to overshadow the overall aspect of my business. So yes, that's a portion of my why, but it's not my complete why. Yes, I honor her and I honor her life, but I didn't want to be that person. They say, "Oh, that's Kim Martin Raymond. That's the one who lost her daughter." I didn't want that to be my existence. I didn't want that, and I know that that's not what she would want it to be. I didn't want the tragedy to be the driving force behind what I did. I wanted the triumphs and the victories that came after that, or as a result of it, to be my why. And so I just wanted to put that out there, because sometimes that tends to happen. We focus on that tragedy, but know that was a springboard for the many successes that have come as a result of it.
Wow. I tell you, on this earth, we definitely go through so much. But I love where you said that we are spiritual beings living human experiences. And it made me think about in pressing through. It's not how many times that a man falls, but his decision whether to stay down or get up. So You know, something you said, too, that has resonated me. You didn't want to be known as the person with the daughter that passed away. It just made me think about, too, how I view my mother, her life, her legacy. I don't even like to say, oh, wow, this person came to her funeral. I like to say her homegoing celebration. So a lot of times it's the things that come out of our mouth that can affect what we feel about or how people view what has happened. We don't want it to be a woe is me. You know, we want their lives and their legacy to continue to live on and be a blessing to others. So, phew, that's powerful. That's powerful.
Like you said, that I was blessed to attend your mom's homegoing, and it was a beautiful celebration of her life. I had an opportunity to meet your mom and to love on your mom, and yes, I mean we go through these seasons, we go through the hurt, but anytime I express any condolences for someone who has lost a loved one, I tell them, I pray that their life and their legacy continues to be celebrated, and that we learn from the lessons and the experiences that they had on this earth, and that we carry those things on, so that way we can stand on their shoulders. They are now our ancestors. They are those who are going to continue to bring wisdom and knowledge. I look at you and your sister and the beauty and the perseverance and all of those wonderful attributes that you have that you got from your mom. And so they continue to live through you, and it's beautiful to see, and to see the manifestation of those things. And sometimes we lose those things when people crumble. If you would have folded, if I would have folded and it just crumbled at the loss of my daughter, then we wouldn't be sitting here talking about the wonderful ways in which we're helping people to create their peaceful existences, to be the people that they need to be, to encourage them and to inspire them. We would have taken those things to the grave with us. And that's not how God would have wanted. That's not his plan. That's why we're still here.
Absolutely. I just said that the other day, Minister, I said to myself just the other day, I will not crumble in it, because if I crumble in it, I cannot carry on her legacy.
That's right.
I'm so glad
your children are waiting. They're waiting and listening. They're standing by. There are people who are waiting and standing by. And one thing that I've learned in my almost 51 years of life is, and it's something that I've embraced more recently, is that I'm a person of influence.
Absolutely.
And that's something that's difficult to say. Some people may find it weird, but I know that I have an ability to inspire and to encourage, and that I've created this space around myself that, when people know I say something, I mean it, or that I'm going to be honest with them, or that I'm going to, be fair about something. And so people rely on you. They come to you because they have developed a trust in you. And so as an influencer, as a person who does that, I'm cognizant of the things that I say and that I do, because I know the impact of the influence they can have on others. And so, if I'm going to carry something to somebody, I want it to be the legacy of my grandmother Martha passed, of my grandmother Pauline Martin. My grandmother Pauline Martin passed away in January of this year at the ripe old age of 105. She was 105 years old. We have 5 generations. My grandbaby got to know her great-great-grandma, talked to her all the time. They would video chat and what have you. She got to touch 5 years' worth of legacy in her own family, and there are not many who can say that. But why not be able to share that? Why not be able to share her wisdom, her knowledge, all of those things? And again, if I folded and I chose to just keep that to myself, I wouldn't be able to be the person that I am and the person of influence that I am to be able to help others. That's so important.
that's one of the things that I really strive for, to share the wisdom that she imparted into me. And I have said this quite a few times, that I'm sure I wouldn't be the person that I am if she wasn't the person that she was, because I learned so much from her. A lot of things that she did, I was watching her. She didn't know it, but a lot of things that she did, I did, and she helped me to do. She helped me to become a licensed minister. She helped me establish my nonprofit organization. A lot of people doesn't know this, you know. So she started me doing my first vending event. It's true. So I'm just so grateful and thankful that God blessed me with her. I'm like you. We have something in common. I'm 51 years old. So when you said almost 51, I'm like, we're like the same age. So that's amazing. We have quite a few things in common, and amazing what you said about an influencer. And I'm going to wrap this up in a minute, Kim, but amazing what you said. God will speak to me even last week, minister, and say to me, just be watchful, because believe it or not, you are a mentor. And little old me, I'm thinking, you know, that I'm just little old me. I'm not all that. He said, yes, I've chosen you to be a mentor. Because my thing was, why are all these younger women blowing up my messenger? Okay? But God said, I've chosen you to be a mentor. I'm still thinking I'm that 20 and I'm that 30-year-old, you know, that would rely on some of the older women in the church. But God said, no. He said, now it's your time to pay it forward. I'm like, wow, God. I'm like, whoa, God. A little bit scary to carry on my mother's legacy. But, you know, hey, timing is everything. He's given it to us to pay it forward. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful that he has chosen us to be able to do that. Before you go, we're going to wrap this up. I want you, because I know you said that you authored 2 books. We're going to talk about your latest publication for sake of time, and then we're going to go ahead and end. So the last book that you authored, tell me just a little bit, because we got about 10 minutes. Tell me just a little bit about it.
Okay, the latest book that I authored was a couple of years ago, and that's on meditating on God's Word. And that was a publication that I did, and that one was just being able to dig a little deeper into the Word of God and looking at Scripture and trying to see, you know, to put it in its context. And you know, when we look at the Bible, it is a tool. It is a point of reference where we're learning things that we can apply to our lives. And so, you know, it's just a bit of a journal where people can, you know, read some of those scriptures, get a little bit of the background behind them, because we want to make sure that we're not taking things out of context, because sometimes that's what happens. We have certain scripture that we hear all the time, and then, you know, we never read the scripture before or after it, or find out what it was in relationship to. And so it's important to know the Word and to understand the Word. And as I'm continuing to be a student of the Word, you know, I wanted to be able to you know, share a publication where people can dig a little deeper into what it means to, you know, meditate on the Word, to get it in our hearts, that way we become, as the scriptures say, doers of the words and not just hearers.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Truly, God is using you to do great things. I tell you, all your pain had a purpose, and I'm just thankful that we got the opportunity to meet one another face to face, even though it was that home celebration, home-going celebration.
That's right.
Awesome, Minister. This is the time where I would love for you to share with those that are listening how they can possibly connect with you on social media. Maybe you have a website that you would like to share.
Absolutely. The website is www.remark, Redefining You. And now spell that is RedefinDing.com. So it's Redefining You. And on that website page, you will find a connection to the How Now podcast and the episodes. It will also connect you to my How Now YouTube channel. So not only can you listen to my podcast, you can watch it as well. For my special friends who say, "Oh, you have a podcast? Where can I watch it?" I'm like, it's you listen to it, you don't watch it. So for my special friends, they can watch it and they can listen to it, and that will give you a connection. You can go to Amazon.com/Kim M. Martin, and that's where you can find all of my publications. And I'm on Facebook as it's Kim. I'm trying to make sure I have it right because I have so many little handles. Let me do you one better. I'm on Linktree. Linktree has all of the links for all of my my social media and websites, and that is Linktree, and then it's just /How Now. Okay, so that's Linktree. So that's www.linktree, and I think it's linktr.ee, I believe, /How Now. Okay, but you go on the website, you'll be able to catch everything. And, that'll be the best way to get in contact with me. And then on Instagram, at Minister Kim Martin.
Awesome. Thanks, Minister, again for being a special guest. Thanks for all that have tuned in. Feel free to reach out to me if you'd like to be a show guest, would like to be a sponsor, or is in need of advertising. And as an ending remark, remember that the Lord will keep you in the midst of any storm. Stay focused. Trust Him in the process. And when you don't understand, know that only those that endure to the end shall be saved. Bye now, and thanks so much for listening.